Recently, some people have asked me to clarify my position on God. That isn't a straightforward question to answer, especially in a YouTube comment, so I will try my best here. To clarify, I am atheist. In fact, I would go as far as saying that I am gnostically atheist, given the word atheism is a rejection of claims of gods made by theists, and I think I can prove that those claims, or at least those that I know of, to be false. Such claims are dismissed thusly. The general definition of a god is a being that is all-powerful, omnipotent, is all-knowing, omniscient, and is all-present, omnipresent. Omnipotent and omniscient because it is the creator of the reality we live in, and omnipresent because it is everywhere to listen and to judge. But it is also a requirement of such a God that we have free will to do what we like, and for us to be judged based upon the actions we choose to make. This is where the claim falls down. If a God knows everything, then he knew a millennia ago that you were going to sit down right now and watch this video. That means you were never free to choose to sit down to watch this video. His foreknowledge predetermined that it would happen. You're a little more than a robot, a chess piece being shoved around a board. So if he is God, and he is omniscient, it is impossible for you to have free will. But if you did freely make the decision to sit down and watch this video, then you are capable of doing something that God did not know would happen, in which case God is not omniscient and therefore not God. Do you see the problem? It is a logically impossible supposition. It is demonstrably false and it can be dismissed out of hand, not as something to deem not credible, but as something that can be proven to be false. Aristotle tried to explain this by saying that God knows all the possible things that could happen to you, but not the choices you make. The trouble with that is if God does not know the decisions you make, then he is still not omniscient and still isn't God. But that doesn't mean I don't value the culture and wisdom Western society has gained through the advent of Christianity. Up until the 16th century, Christians in Europe relied upon priests to interpret the Bible for them, and the majority of that time we lived in the Dark Ages. When Martin Luther came along and he had translated the Bible, people could interpret the many metaphors of it for themselves. This gave birth to the Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution, and so everything we have as a society today. And for that I'm grateful. Even if many people are now rejecting Enlightenment Christian values and doing their best to destroy what we have created because they've forgotten what put us here and what we have to keep going. But there is another side to this, the God question, from a scientific perspective, a perspective largely ignored by people who have embraced atheism as some sort of dogma, a dogma of the physical. The idea we are made up entirely of the sum of our parts and that nothing means anything. The mainstream atheist worldview seems to think that every part of us is a result of our inherited DNA plus the experiences put upon it. As the algorithm of your DNA plays out and your proteins fold as you develop, they are affected by the outside environment. But in the end, everything about us could be predicted if a computer powerful and large enough could process the data entered into it. So we have no free will, and nothing about it transcends the physical. The soul does not exist. But quantum mechanics turns all of this on its head. In the quantum world, atoms exist in a state of quantum probability, meaning they are everywhere and nowhere at the same time, and they do not become fixed at a single point until the observer observes them. It is as though the whole world is like a video game that has the appearance of all being there, but in reality we are walking through a bubble, creating matter as we go about our day. The act of observation dictates what matter does, rather than matter dictating what the observer does. So this means part of us transcends the physical. Part of us is God, for want of a better expression. And the explanation for all this? Who knows? Some people think it is proof that we are living in the Matrix. The proposition being that if man creates a simulation of our reality between now and infinity, then statistically we must all be living in a simulation, and that would explain these paradoxes. But that is playing presuppositional apologetics. It could be true, we might be living in a simulation, but it is a bold claim to suggest that we must one day create such a simulation, because there is no particular reason to think that we would. That is often a fallacy people come across, where they define infinity as meaning that something must happen, and infinity doesn't work that way. So maybe reality is just a lot more complicated than we think it is. Either way, it seems to me that ritualistic practices such as meditation or prayer are all attempts to connect with the inner self that those people just in some way knew was separate from the physical. They just couldn't accurately explain what was going on. So what do I think about the nature of reality? Well, I think Bill Hicks may have been onto something when he said, "We are all one consciousness, experiencing itself subjectively. There is no such thing as death. Life is only a dream, and we are the imagination of ourselves."